Today, I'm going to ask Caleb about learning as it pertains to entrepreneurship. So I
Let's
was
go.
thinking about this and learning how to learn and how important it is in our continued development. And I had several thoughts on it. So we're just going to go kind of straight into it.
I
So,
like it.
Caleb, in school, or I guess it doesn't have to be in school, who was your favorite teacher and why? What did they do well?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I did not like school at all. I hate being forced to do anything, which I'm trying to work on because sometimes people are asking you to do things that are good, so it's not always bad, but the concept of school made me dislike what I was learning in school, and even in some of the classes that I would normally enjoy, I did not like learning because they were forcing me to do it in certain ways and I couldn't really choose. But all that to say, I would say there were a few teachers that I enjoyed. One specifically, he was a history teacher and it was about world history. Uh, I really enjoyed him because one, he was very kind and respectful, which I think is important because there's some teachers who are like, you're gonna do what I say, when I say to do it, and I'm gonna not give you any leniency. Like you don't turn it in, you get an F. I don't care what's happening in your personal life. Like that shouldn't affect your school, even though in reality for school and work and pretty much everything, what goes on in people's personal lives definitely affects how they perform. And he made it fun. I I kind of enjoy history. I mean, I enjoy history a lot more when I'm learning it by myself. I kind of enjoyed it in school a little, not a whole lot. But he had us watch interesting videos where people, I can't remember exactly what the little history series was, but if I could find it, I would know exactly what it was because they were super interesting. They had these guys who talked about history in a very interesting way. And obviously, he did some. So, one cool thing that he did was on tests, if you could purposely get every single answer wrong, you would get 100%. Because it would be so hard to get every answer incorrect. But if you even got one right, then you would not. You would fail. So I thought that was really cool. And he just did stuff like that, that was unique. And he actually went from the high school I went to the high school that my wife went to. And so now he works there and does some theater stuff. And I still see him occasionally. So yeah,
He does theater stuff.
yeah.
Interesting.
And his
Uh,
son is like, he had a main part in the last one that we went to. It was cool.
I have a theory about history done well and history done poorly. And that is, are you a good storyteller? Well, in fact, good teaching at all. Can you make stuff into a story? If you can't tell a good story, then it doesn't work out well. Um, my thought on that was I definitely experienced that. Like if I felt like I wasn't being respected, but the teachers that treated me basically who were like, I'm going to expect you to behave like an adult, but I'm going to treat you like an adult, were my favorite.
Yeah.
Like, you can do it or you can not do it. I don't care. But if you don't do it, you're going to fail. And if you do it, I'm going to help you succeed. And it's up to you what you want to get out of this class. Those were the teachers that I respected well. A follow up, something you said made me think, was there anything that you thought you wouldn't like or didn't like, and then later were exposed to the same content or similar content and it was taught better, or you were exposed in a different way that made you like it better?
From
Like
like middle school, high
school?
school, and
Yeah.
then later. Yeah. So I would say econ. When I first learned econ, the teacher was totally fine. He was like super chill and laid back, but it was just in school. And I'm telling you, when it came to in school, if anything was in school, it became not my favorite subject. So I didn't, I mean, it was a little interesting when I was learning it, but then later in college, I would go to school and then I would listen to podcasts on the side. And I really, really enjoyed finance and econ and specifically personal finance, even though in school I did not really enjoy that. And so just moving from I'm doing it in school to I'm doing it myself, like 100x'd my interest in it. I'm being so serious. I've probably listened to over 300 hours of personal finance podcasts. In school, I could barely make it through a semester of like a couple days a week. Yeah.
There is something about being forced to learn a thing versus your own volition.
Yeah,
Makes
for
it feel
sure.
different. So like, for example, so like you were talking about podcasts. When you're listening to a podcast, do you have any specific ways of retaining or recording information so that you can access it later or better remember it?
Yeah, I've had a couple of different ways that I've tried. None have been super consistent other than like I remember something, I try and go write it down. But one big one, which I think for anyone listening, definitely go check this out. It's called Snipped, SNIPD, and it's basically an AI software that anytime you're listening to a podcast, there's a little button that says create snip, and you can customize it to whatever you want, but you press that button, it snips the last 30 seconds and saves it as just a small clip, and you can go back and listen to it whenever you want. They also have some cool AI features that give you a transcription of the whole podcast, some takeaways from the podcast, and I think they've added a couple more features that I haven't quite looked at yet. You get 3 free AI episodes per week. Like you can use AI on 3 episodes, or no, per week, per day. I don't know, but that one's pretty cool. The only problem is I have so many clips now, and I'm trying to do it while I'm listening to the podcast, and that's usually in the car, so I can't rename the clips very easily. So then there's so many that I don't know which ones to go look at. So it's great, but just find a way to rename the clips so you know where to go look and what to look at. Another thing that I've tried that I haven't been super good at, but I think for someone who could be consistent at it, it would be good, is just as soon as you listen to a podcast, thinking of one idea of how you can implement something within that podcast. If it was a podcast that was honestly pretty bad and was, or just was for entertainment, I mean, who cares? But if it's something where you're trying to learn a specific, like you see the title of the podcast, you know kind of what you're going to learn from it. Have in mind an idea for how you can use it either in tasks that you're doing or content that you're creating. I've done that a couple of times. So even if I just wrote down like in my journal, it doesn't even have to be content for other people, but stuff that I've learned from a podcast. I've also saved podcasts, but that's probably the worst one because you save something, you never really go back and watch it again. So that I probably would not recommend that unless you have a specific way to remember to go back and look at it. But yeah, the best one is Snipped. If I could find a way to rename it well without getting in a car accident and dying, then it would be 10 times better. So it's really cool.
Duly
though.
noted. Don't get in a car accident.
When I first heard about it, I was like, there's no way this is a thing. Well, I was like, I can believe that this is a thing, but there's no way that it's that easy to just clip something, and it was. I just wish there was a way you could be like, rename this, or it's like say it or voice it or something, but not really. So
Sounds like there's a market for it.
there might be.
I am not a software developer, but I know one who knows one. Or I
I
know
mean, to be
somebody who knows one.
honest, there are a bunch of AI apps like Lovable is you can build apps on it, and vibe coding is the new thing in the AI world. So
I am so old. I don't even know exactly what vibe coding means.
it's basically people who don't know how to code are building apps with AI. It's just
Ah,
called vibe coding. But one of the big
gotcha.
risks that was kind of facetious a little bit because one of the big risks is that people who don't know how to code don't know the security risks of certain
Yeah.
things, and therefore their apps and their websites and stuff are not super secure. So
But as
that's
long
another
as
thing
it's
to
just
watch
an
out for.
in-house tool, shouldn't matter, right?
Yeah, if it was only local, like if you were just using yourself, who cares? But if you're trying to
Yeah.
mass market it to people, you need to make sure there's some security.
That makes a lot of sense. I had follow-ups. You mentioned journaling. Do you journal as a practice?
I do now. I have so for the long like for my entire life, I was never someone who really journaled because I couldn't get into the consistent routine of it. But back in September, I actually started with a super structured way of journaling. Like it was not free write at all. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna write this, then I'm gonna write this, then I'm gonna write this, then I'm gonna write a takeaway from this. Bang, I'm done. And so I got into the habit because it was super structured. I knew exactly what I was gonna write. I pretty much wrote the same stuff other than like a takeaway or two, which was slightly different each time because I'm reading a book, and so I was trying to write a takeaway from that book. And then starting at the beginning of this month, I switched it up a little bit because I got consistently into the habit of journaling. Now I do some more like free write portions where I'm writing how I'm feeling, writing what I'm thinking about, etc. And then I have some time for just like 5 minutes of meditation and silence where I don't do anything. I can think, I can just let my mind wander. And yeah, so it's become more of creative journaling rather than structured journaling because I think that will be really helpful to me and it will let me write down the things that I've been learning, thinking about, or have to do. So, yeah, I include a
When
couple different pieces. I include some gratitude because I want to be thankful. I include some specific prayer sections, some writing, just free writing. I include the takeaway from my book, and then the my top three tasks, and a time for like 5 minutes of meditation or silence.
so follow-ups on the book portion, does that mean you also are structuring time every day for? I had another question about like you mentioned someone who had if you had the discipline to do X, so what are the things that you have the discipline to do that you're doing every day? It sounds like journaling you're trying to do at least somewhat consistently, if not daily.
Yeah,
It sounds like maybe reading. You
I
working in
would
time
say
for structured reading.
reading. I get to every couple days. Here's the thing. If I'm super weird, so I want to split up my journaling into morning and night. So I have like part of it in the morning, part of it at night. I think something that I've learned is I need to not do that because morning totally fine. Like I have been super consistent in the morning. The only time I'm not consistent is when we're doing something on a podcast. No, no, I've been really consistent in the morning, and so I'll get through my morning section almost every single day, even on days where I do have something in the morning. Like I'll do it just right after because I'm thinking about it. I've built that consistent habit. Then I wait and leave some stuff for the evening, and I always fall asleep. I always fall asleep. So I what I try to do is like a little bit of prayer, some my top three goals for the day, uh, and then I'll do my like Bible reading in the morning because I just want to get a good start in the day. I want to have my top three goals so that I know what I'm going to work on. Then I'll leave the free write book and the gratitude section for the evening. I might do like one or two in the morning. Anyways, I have not consistently gotten to them because I've fallen asleep because I'm so tired. Or I'm just, it's not even that I've fallen asleep. I'm just so tired that I can't even think well enough to do it. And then I eventually just go to bed. So that is the honest consistency that I've been on. I'm probably just going to start doing everything in the morning because I'd rather do it all and not have my morning and evening routine than not get to it and consistently mess up, because then it like builds the habit of, oh, I'm not doing this consistently, and then I might get out of the habit of it. So yeah.
I will say that in some regards, I consider just showing up to be success. Just by making a goal and shooting for the goal, you're going to get farther than many of your peers. Not that that should be the standard, that I need to be better than my peers, but you do make progress that way, even if it's not the progress you intended to make. As far as reading and writing, do you have any structured way of writing about what you read to assist learning? Or is it just whatever you read about, just your thoughts on it? You're writing it down, like free writing.
Yeah, it's not really structured. It's more just I have a place where I write down the takeaway from my book and the couple of pages that I read, what was my biggest takeaway from those pages. It's right now I'm reading some books, like some theological books. So it's mainly, what did this say about this certain thing that I'm trying to do some research on? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, making it more structured, I might have more to take away, but also 95% of the stuff that we read in books we forget anyways. So, and am I really going back and looking at all the things that I took away from the book? Probably not. So I'm just trying to, get something quick down. And then by the time I'm done with the book, hopefully I have a general idea of what I wanted to take away and what I learned from the book.
Right. Yeah. And have you noticed any meaningful difference that, not that it's scientific, but not that we are being scientific about it, but have you noticed any exceptional recall from journaling after reading books? Do you feel like it's improved your memory of them or synthesis of the ideas?
I think that I do think that it helps me explain things better to other people when I'm talking about what I'm learning from the book. This one is, I mean, like I said, it's more theological books. And so I've been talking with people about those ideas, and I feel like I can communicate them better than I could before. So I think that that's one big thing, is just the communication piece. I'm reading it, I'm writing it down, the takeaway in my own words, so then I can communicate it better to other people because I've written it down in my own words. And even it was a couple of days ago, I was driving down to see a friend, driving with another friend, and we just had a whole conversation. He was like, "So what do you think about this?" And I was like, "Wait a second. I got this. Let me explain it." And so then I explained this theological argument that someone had. I think better because of the journaling, probably.
Yeah, I definitely feel like just writing down thoughts has helped me retain them. And whereas taking a note in a book does not as much, like a highlighter, it doesn't help me that much. Now, I'll still highlight or underline and then maybe put a tab in a book if it's one that I physically own, because I want to be able to pull it off the shelf and just, like, this will happen sometimes. I'll see a book and I'm like, oh, I haven't looked at that in a while. I'll just take it off the shelf and I'll look at every tab that I put in, because usually those were the most interesting ideas that popped out to me the first time I read it. And I just want to pull out those ideas again and throw them through my brain. Oh, yeah, that was a good point. Or go back to it and, it's not as relevant as I once thought it was. But writing in the margins. And then I've also I do a bad job of writing after each time I listen or read to a book, in part. But after I finish a book, I'll open up a Google Doc, throw up a Google Doc and just for 5 minutes. Just go. Here are my thoughts about it, what I thought was interesting, connections that I made.
Yeah, I
And
would
I do feel
totally
like that
agree with
helps a little
that.
bit.
I think the underlining doesn't do anything. I'm like, this is cool, I'll underline it. I'm like, I don't know what I underlined 5 seconds later, even if I'm
Yeah.
still reading the book. I don't know
Yes.
what the last page was.
Nope. No idea. And definitely if I can tie the idea to something else that I already know to be true or an idea that somebody else has expressed, then it's way more solid. Okay. We crossed that off. Writing and journaling. Okay, when you're starting a new venture, so like you went out and started this AI business, where do you go to start generating ideas? Or after you have the idea, where do you go to find good sources for picking up pieces for building your model?
Well, again, this is kind of meta with the fact that I'm running an AI company, but also not because it makes sense. I had very, very long conversations with ChatGPT to work through ideas, not even to rely on ChatGPT to do everything for me, but to think of things from different angles. So in my prompts, I would say to Chat, make me like challenge my ideas. Don't just let me say something and totally agree with it because sometimes ChatGPT or any AI model can just be a yes man. It's like, oh wow, that's a great idea. And it's really a stupid idea. So I had huge, very, very long conversations scrolling multiple times down to with Chat, especially on what kind of business to start. And I would spend a lot of time with the initial prompt because I wanted it to be really good. I also listened to tons of YouTube videos. There's a guy, his name's Dan Martell. He wrote the book Buy Back Your Time. So his videos can be a bit clickbaity, I will admit, but there were a lot of cool things to think about when I was watching his videos. And then there was another guy who can't remember what his YouTube handle is, but he is an entrepreneur and he talked about like how to start businesses, how to think of business ideas. So I took all that in, then I turned ChatGPT into my personal Dan Martell or, whatever. Like I gave it a role. And then I had a long conversation, asked it to challenge me, asked it to think of things that I hadn't thought about. And eventually I came upon the AI agency model, which there's a guy, his name's Liam Otley. He runs the AI automation agency, the AAA. And he's also a little clickbaity, but everyone is on YouTube. So it's just how it works. And I realized that was a good model because small businesses need AI help. I don't want to be some guru type of thing, but I do want to just get down and dirty and help small businesses implement and think about AI. So that's kind of why I landed where I am now. And then after I had my idea, I had a bunch more very long conversations with ChatGPT about building out different pieces of that. And I mean, we talked about in a previous episode, niching down, and I'm still having those conversations with ChatGPT, trying to figure out exactly, because I mean, I mentioned in that episode, in that previous episode about the financial advisor niche, I'm still trying to figure out if that is the right niche. It seems to be like a niche that doesn't have a lot of competition right now, but there are big challenges to get in there. And so I'm continually talking to Chat about that. But I know it's like super dumb, but I mean, that's really what it was. I just talked to ChatGPT for, I will admit, hours on this stuff, trying to figure out my strategy.
Is that how you generated the original idea to get into this AI agent space? Or like, how did you come across that?
It was a YouTube video from Liam Otley. He said, here's how you can, his video was probably like, here's how you can make $1 million in AI, because that's how they all are. But he talked about AI education, AI consulting and AI implementation. And I was like, well, what if I did all three?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to do the responsible AI, helping consult on how people can implement AI, and then actually doing the implementation. So that was where the idea originally came from. And then I expanded it myself using chat.
Do you tell me what you think about this? In my experience, not necessarily in entrepreneurship, but just in life in general, podcasts and YouTube are excellent ways of exploring new ideas, getting a bunch of ideas real fast to think about, like interesting, not interesting, interesting, not interesting, kind of in a passive way, but they're not good at the details or execution. Like anything I hear about on a podcast or YouTube video, if I try it, probably not going to get executed the same way or as easily.
Yeah.
Like
I,
if I'm really interested in it, then I'm going to go read about it.
I would say so. I think that YouTube, unless you're watching like a 4 hour video I mean, there's some courses out there where they say, this is the ultimate blah, blah, blah course. No one necessarily gets through the whole thing because it's 8 hours
if
long.
it's hard, there's the exception. If it's difficult, it might actually execute about the same way.
Yeah, but most YouTube videos are 20 minutes, and it's very hard to learn and implement a topic very well in only 20 minutes of watching a video. Plus, you're getting a very biased outlook because someone did it one way. There's probably other ways to do it. You're not necessarily looking at the other ways that might fit your personality or how you think better. You're just looking at that one way, and that succeeded for that one person. So I don't always think that YouTube is the best way to implement ideas, but it is a very good way to learn because you can watch as much YouTube as you want, and YouTube wants you to watch more.
Yeah. The benefits and the downsides of YouTube.
Yeah. You start looking at business models, and then you get into kitten videos falling off of counters.
Gardening, artisan coffee.
How did I even
You've exhausted my questions, sir.
Yep. Well, I think that the best way to learn is to do it the way that you want to do it. Because in school, you're forced to learn the exact same way as everyone else. You get lectures, or you get lectured. No, you sit in lectures, watch teachers present PowerPoints, and then you have to take tests. And I hated that. I hated that way of learning. My favorite way of learning is listening, watching, seeing people do stuff, and then going and trying it. So for anyone listening, I would say find how you best learn and the way that you enjoy learning most, and go do that instead. And obviously, if you're in school still and you want to make sure that you get good enough grades to pass, or else why are you paying for the education that you're in right now? But don't worry. I probably learned more outside of college than I did in college, so it's not it's okay to learn outside and learn the things that you enjoy. So, and I would highly suggest doing that.
Sounds good. Send us email, jc.unscripted@gmail.com.
And like and subscribe on YouTube and on Spotify. Give us a 5-star review, because if you enjoyed the content. If you didn't, don't do anything. All right, that's the pod.